What's going on, world? Eric Lawton here from Bred Canines, a channel dedicated to the working dogs we all know and love. Now, before we jump into the interview, I wanted to show you guys something. As most of you know, I'm a hobby prepper, hobby survivalist, you know, the guy waiting on the zombie apocalypse. Yeah, I'm that guy. This works for pretty much anybody who is very active with their dogs. If you're out on a hike, have you ever taken like a regular bottle of water and you try to feed it to your dog, you waste half of it? Well, this company called PetNF sent me a collapsible water bottle, and I'm gonna film it, and we're gonna check it out together. Thank you so much for your order. I didn't order it. Extended warranty. Who wants a warranty on a water bottle? PetNF Collapsible Pet Water Bottle 2 Instructions. This is going to be complicated. 1. Innovative design and leverage. Blah, 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 blah. There's a guy with 2 German Shepherds. Okay, I get it. So it's like a little bowl that kind of flips up and you just kind of like pour water into it somehow. We'll figure this out together. Oh, it even came with a little clippy thing. Alright. Little bungee clip thing, alright. Clip it to the side of your little bug out rig. Is that where it goes? On the side there? I don't know. Alright, so how does this work? Ooh. And there's a button. There's a button. There's a button there. It's right there. You see the button? Okay, so we open it and squeeze it. Yeah, I'm thinking so. Anyway, I'm gonna wash this because I don't trust stuff, and I'll be right back. Alright, so I washed it and I filled it up. Let's see how this works. So I hit this little switch thing, and that's so cool. Alright, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this. Let's do this. Look, look, look. So I had to hit this little lever on the side here. See that? I hit that to open it. And then, look at this, look at this. Squeeze the freaking water in there. And then when I release, it all goes back down. And it makes a cool sound. Like your mama. I like that. Let's go get one of the dogs and try it out. Right. Know what you want, right here. And we're gonna take this thing, right? Open it, squeeze it. Huh? Yeah. That is the coolest thing. That is so cool. That is cool, man. I like it. And then when we're done, when you're done obsessing, we can just collapse it. You hit the lock button, the water will stay still, right? Unlock it, the water will go away. That's pretty cool. I like that. That is really cool. So yeah, big shouts to PetNF for sending me this product. It's super cool. I will definitely be using it. Wonder if you guys make it in like an XL version, like something bigger. But yeah, it's a great product. I dig it. I really like it. It will definitely come in handy. There's nothing worse than being out on a hike with a dog. And the dog's winded, so you want to give it a little bit of water, and so you take your own water bottle and feed it to the dog, and half of it ends up on the ground. That sucks. But yeah, appreciate it, guys. Now let's get to this interview.
Yeah, look.
Hey, what's going on, brother?
Oh, not a bunch. Just regular weekend stuff. More work than what I do when I'm working.
I gotcha. Where are you located again?
I'm in Missouri, southern Missouri.
Nice. So tell me your story. How'd you get involved with dogs, and how did you end up getting involved with weight pull?
I don't remember not being involved with dogs.
I gotcha.
I had pits back in, I'd say 78, and had them the whole way through. And then it was up until we can't talk about 40 years of dogs. That would take too long. But once I discovered these dogs here, I got rid of my old lines and let them die out. And I got into these, which, oh man, what an upgrade. What a nice dog.
What did you have back then? Were they game dogs, or were they more the show type?
Yeah, they were. Even back then, I went for more Kaboxy type, the wider one. So they wouldn't do well in a show at all, and they wouldn't do well, in the game of game dogs. Mm-hmm. They were just, almost bullies before they were bullies. Just the really thick ones. I mean, they'd be 18 inches tall and weighing 75 pounds.
Right. So kind of on the cusp of like the UKC to the AKC Am staff, basically.
In a way, they were a little bit harder. They were a little bit harder to look than what they play with, or at least what they show in the shows and stuff. They were a little rougher dogs.
Right. So you still had to keep them separated and things like that.
Oh, absolutely.
Gotcha.
Absolutely. And I've still I got to keep what I've got separated.
Right.
Anytime you breed for, a purpose, and you're breeding that go and drive and real drive and everything into it, you pretty much got to get them separated, because when they get excited, they look for something. Mm-hmm. And each other would just be fine.
So, would you consider your dogs to be pit bulls or bullies or the new ADBA working pit bulldog? What are your dogs classified as?
Honestly, I'm throwing papers all over the place, but what I would consider them to be at is the working pit bulldog. There's without a doubt. Of course, when in the breeding thing, a lot of people want them to be registered as bullies, and others want to be registered as APBTs, and they can register either way. I mean, that's a funny thing about them; they can register either way.
Right.
Which is, they're sort of I don't know, man. They're almost they're sort of in limbo, because the breed's so new that a lot of people ain't accept them as their own breed. But the way they were bred and how they came about and reasons for them being bred and the focus on the sport itself, there's just no doubt that working pit bulldog has got to be it.
Now, would you say that these dogs are also geared towards personal protection?
They're extremely guarded. Actually, these dogs almost remind me of their loyalty with the Pyrenees. Once I have a dog for so long in my yard, I can't get rid of it.
Right.
It won't accept another yard.
Right.
And it won't accept another master. They just have that thing about getting in the middle of whatever they perceive as a problem and you. And they have no problem doing that.
I think that's the huge difference between even the more athletic American bullies of today and the pit bull and the Amstaff, and the idea, at least what I perceive the working pit bulldog to be. I'm into more of protective dogs, and I think the working pit bulldog would better suit that than any of the other labeled breeds.
Yeah, I went to like a UKC show and showed a couple of my dogs as American Pit Bull Terriers, and even standing there, I was talking to some boys there, that had dogs, and they had like Corsos and stuff, and I was telling them, that my dogs need to be in the Guardian group and not the Terrier group. The way the registries work, they do what they do, and I don't know if they get like in the field and actually check out what these dogs really are. You know, I think it's all paperwork, and I don't think they would like the true protective instincts anyway in the registry, because that can be perceived as human aggression, and it absolutely isn't. There's a strong difference between protection and human aggression. You know, so it's not even a fine line. It's a pretty deep line.
Right.
They can be totally not human aggressive, but extremely protective. And that's for some reason that's just part of their nature, because we don't train that at all. We train the sport. We play with the sport. You know.
Mm-hmm. So would you compare the working pit bulldog to, just as an example, more of a refined band dog because of its size, stature, kind of thing, or?
I would have to.
Yeah.
I would have to. I see a lot of the band dogs, and I know a lot of the band dog people, and they even come at me looking to breed something, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I do. They're a lot more refined, because the band dogs, they seem to do a good job for a second, and then they just fall apart, you know. Because I've seen some of them that's really nice, you know, just by sight. You know, I haven't seen them do anything, but just by sight, they look really nice. They look functional. And then they'll just, for some reason, they can't continue to reproduce what they're doing. And if you mean by refined, can it be reproduced? The answer on these is yes, because it's been around. These dogs have been around for, I don't know, 25 years, you know, close to 30 years.
Now,
the ADPA took them and made them a separate breed.
Right. That was actually going to be my next question. What do you think? Where do you think that happened? Where the ADBA said, okay, this is not an American Pit Bull Terrier no more. These are too large. I know like Butthead and Whopper and, you know, all these dogs had something to do with it. But where do you think that turn actually happened?
I was pulling the ADBA before they were changed, and I can tell you what, they hated us there, and they didn't like it when Whopper first stepped on the scene. I mean, I know the boys that seen Whopper when Ed brought the dog in for the first time. You know, and the question you got was, what the hell is that? You know, because it's just obviously not a terrier. You know, because the game dogs are terriers. That's their. Yeah, that's what they are, and these dogs definitely are not terriers. But what really spurred it off is, I really believe it's the popularity of the Hulk really threw a lot of it in a spin. I mean, they didn't like it when I would come to the shows and do this and that, but when the Marlins dog, the Hulk, got pretty popular, a lot of the people just went nuts, you know, and it was the right people to go angry.
Right, but your dogs and a lot of the quote working pit bulldogs look a lot more. Now, I'm not taking anything from Marlin.
Sure.
But your dogs and dogs like from Unleashed Kennels and things like that are a lot more athletic than Hulk and all those other dogs. A lot more streamlined. Not quite as thick.
Yeah, we've got a lot of game dog in our stuff. You know, and that's part of it. And it's hard to hold size with game dog in it, you know. But I think you need some of that game dog just to keep them real, you know. And like when you're talking about Unleashed or Bayou Blood, you know, they get this. They got a lot of their stock. The look they got from Travis, who don't live too far from me down here at Fireline. You know, so, and he's always had that too, and he was breeding with, he went with a lot of the weight bulldogs too, you know, so when you're in that weight bull circle, you have a different choice of dog than the people that are breeding, I don't know, paperwork or how a dog looks or this or that, you know, so you're right, we ended up with a lot more athletic and tight dog, but that was the purpose. That was the point. Right. I've worked with Malamons a little bit, you know, rent the sleeves for them and stuff, and it's a totally different feel when they hit you or when one of these dogs hits you. I mean, nothing against the Malamons. They're an amazing breed.
Oh, yeah, definitely, without question.
but there was just a raw power difference when you get hit, you know, with the same size dog. It's the aggression level. You can just feel it. You're hit by a warrior when one of these hits you.
Yeah, and their tail is wagging the whole freaking time. Like, they're having fun. The difference between pit bulls and these other breeds is when pit bulls are engaged, they're having fun. They want to do this. The other one's just trying to neutralize a threat, which is a whole different thing.
That's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And even if they, like, naturally don't have the endurance of said dog that's doing their thing under stress, or if they stress themselves out, or they do anything like that, just with their relaxed method, they'll actually last a lot longer. Because you're right, they're loving it.
Yeah.
Which, you know, it's kind of a strange thing when you first see it, you know, and then, you know, you could break them off target, and they're happy wanting to get it. They're not angry. They're not, you know, just excited. They're happy. You know, and they'll just keep playing that game. They love that game. You know?
Well, I was just going to ask, like, do you think, like, with the working pit bulldog, does that still carry over, that American Pit Bull Terrier love for the battle? Does that still carry over to the working pit bulldog?
Yeah, absolutely. I used to chain my dogs up, you know, every once in a while I have some on the chain because they seem to enjoy it better. But I totally can't do that because if one gets out, they do love the battle. And if me telling you I have a break stick on the front porch and the back porch and inside the house and in the door of the truck says anything about, you know, what they will do, you know, there it is.
Right.
Because they do love the battle, and they don't do it in anger. They really do.
Right.
You know, and like I say, anytime two dogs get excited, they'll look for a target. The nearest target will work just fine. You know, that's why my dogs are set up in separate kennels, and I got certain dogs that will be beside other dogs that won't go too far, and other ones across the yard, and I got some that have to have other dogs inside of each other, because if you get them too far apart, they really go crazy. You get them too close, they go crazy at each other, and then they got to have a certain distance, just like keep an eye on each other. So they do have some of that. You know, that's just part of the breed. And I've got a bunch of dogs here, so I got a bunch of different personalities. So,
how many dogs do you have?
I'm running 18 right now.
18. Just to make sure I got this right. So the working pit bulldog is the larger. Well, your working pit bulldogs are the larger game dog, but with more man aggression built in.
Well, I wouldn't no way call it man aggression. There's no way. More protective instincts built in. They are built in that.
Okay.
And I wouldn't even know if I'd call it larger. We got enough game dog in our stuff, and we hold size in a lot of our dogs, and a lot of our dogs get pretty light. You know, I mean, we'll do conditioning cuts on some of them, well, on all of them when we go compete. And of course, condition weight is quite a different story as standing weight, you know. And we literally had one, we brought one down to 47 pounds this year, or last year at Nationals.
So they're not huge. They're not giant dogs.
Well, we got a few we can't cut down less than 100.
Okay, that makes sense.
You know,
okay.
Yeah, the way it works is if you do have that old game dog stuff in it, it's going to show up. And when it does show up, and it'll show, the game dog attitude can show up in the larger dogs, and the game dog size can show up, you know, at any time. I've even got a dog here that shows some really old school stuff. He's not what you would call Hollywood pit, you know. But as far as like you was talking about, survivalist type dog, would be the perfect survivalist type dog. I mean, he is just bulletproof.
I gotcha.
You know? But the looks of those, the looks sort of go with the person. If they're sitting there with little, if they have that look, you know, where their eyes are almond eyes and they're set back, and you know they just have this hard look. 90% of the time, they are hard. You know, looks kind of go with it. I think that's why when you're looking at the wild dogs, the wolves, and this and that. And, you know, they have a certain look. And then when you get into like these little cuddly pets, they always have these large eyes, and they always have this different, just a totally different look, just a friendly look. You
Right.
know? And I think looks go a lot with, you know, what's coming out in them. So
I got
that's kind of something I look for.
Have you ever run into really any problems as far as temperament or health?
I ran into one male that he was a little too edgy. He never actually done anything, but he was a little too edgy, you know, as far as his dominance, you know. So I ran into that. But you got to remember, I've dealt with a lot of dogs. I mean, so, and then as far as health, I think I had one that had gotten cancer, testicular cancer at 2 years old. And then other than that, no, I haven't run into anything except for those two items.
Okay.
You know, and that's kind of what we always keep. I always keep the more edgy ones, the more extreme dogs here. When I have a dog and I keep a few out of the litter, I end up keeping the extreme dogs in my yard. For the first 10 years or with these dogs, I didn't sell anything. I kept most of all my stock. I trained everything that I had. I would move them out to just full yard circles and pet homes, you know. And it was just up until last year that I even considered selling to the public, because in my view, my dogs wasn't worthy to sell to the public. I don't know why, but that's how it was, you know. And so
you can't find working pit bulldogs like all over the place. They're not widespread like the bullies or pit bulls or even UKC pit bulls. You can't find them.
Yeah, it makes it really, really, really hard to find someone to breed with, you know, to maintain the working pit bulldog. Because with the ADBA papers, you can get UKC papers, you can get ABKC papers, you can get everything but AKC papers, you know. They're a pretty much upper echelon paper that they all accept, you know. So, and then you could throw them as any different breed, but to hold those papers as working pit bulldogs, and then all of the things that the dog's done down the line behind your dog, to hold that, it's a tough thing, and keep the quality up. It really is.
Now, can you take a working pit bulldog on papers and still register that in the UKC?
Oh, absolutely. I've done probably 7 or 8 of them already. Yeah.
Okay.
And then when you do the UKC paper, if you got ABKC, if you got ADBA, working pit bull papers, UKC accepts that easily, and then you write your pet down, and you have a choice of going bully or pit bull terrier. It's your choice. You pretty much call the shots if you have the ADBA paper. So that's pretty nice. It's pretty nice to be able to do, and that does open the market for people that want to breed and get this blood in their yard or whatever, you know, for them. But unfortunately, it's hard for me to say, man, I'd love to have a pup out of that breeding, which I would. Everybody that's bred with me so far, I'd love to have had a pup out of the breeding, but I'm just held on to that ADBA thing, you know, because of the standing of the ADBA and what's accepted. You know, what other registries accept ADBA as a legit, you know, so.
Right. I think I would take ADBA over any other registry, honestly, as far as the top registries, only because ADBA, when it came to the Pit Bull Terrier, not saying that it didn't veer away from that a bunch of times, you know, just like any other registry, but the ADBA standard for the American Pit Bull Terrier always remained that old game dog.
And it still is, yeah. And all they've done when they did when they put the bullies in and the working pit bull dogs in, all they've done was just tighten that screw a little bit tighter and focus once again on the game dog, you know. And they allowed us, and I have to say allowed us, to actually stay registered with them, you know, because they could have just as easily swept us under the rug and let us go find another registry, you know. But they were good enough to do that, so that was a good thing. I'm not real happy with the name, but I am happy with they allowed us to be. I generally don't use the whole name. I just, when someone asks, I've got pit bulldogs. which puts them different than the pit bulls or the pit bull terriers or anything, or the bullies, pit bulldog. So I just throw it out there like that, because the working, and that sounds like something they do. When you mention working, they think, well, my dog works, it does fly ball or whatever,
Yeah.
It's sort of our name, It's a dumb name, but it's sort of our name.
Well, it's just one of those things where it's like, well, it's there now. Just, go with it.
We'll just deal with it. People get used to it, and we'll see what happens after.
Yeah, WPB or something. It doesn't roll off the tongue. I see what you mean.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Like I say, I've thrown it around a lot, and people says, what kind of dog is that? As we're breezing by, and I've had a pit bulldog. And they're not, 90% of people, and even the people at the shows and stuff, are not that educated on it, or they are educated. So pit bulldog works for across the board,
When you have a litter of puppies, how do you normally select something that you're going to keep versus something you're going to sell?
That's kind of why we'll end up keeping several. But on my end of it, I actually have to go. I tried going with which dog stood up first, which dog climbed the box first, which dog did this, which dog did that. But they're so young, you don't know. I really don't know if I want to keep them or not until they're about a year and a half old. I'm just going to be honest with you. Until they're fully trained and they've been put under stress in stressful situations, and I see how they handle that stress, I really don't know. Because you can take a beautiful dog, and it seems great, and everything you're doing with it, you're playing games, you're playing flirt bowl, and this and that, that's a great dog. You put it in a real high-stress situation and press it, to do more and to be better and to continue. And you'll learn a lot about what that dog's made out of, And you can't do that until a little bit later in life, and until they're fully trained, So that's a tough one too. A lot of times you go off luck. Just going to be honest with you. You just go off luck and gut feeling of what you see in that litter at the time. And if your gut feeling says, okay, we're going to keep this one, and we're going to keep this one, and then we'll let the rest go, and let's see who these dogs are going to turn out to be. Because as a baby, there's no way to know. There's no way. Unless you're breeding for looks, and that's the easiest thing in the world to do. And sometimes I will have a litter for looks, just to keep my look up. And then that's easy. Boom, I choose that. And then I end up getting rid of it anyway, because looks are just one part of it. And then if it doesn't have the work ethic that I believe they should have, I go ahead and move them to somebody else, and they can have them. But that's just sort of my theory on it. It's just lucky.
Would you say it's too early to say that the working pit bulldog is completely different from the game dog, the Amstaff, the bully? Would you say it's gone that far away yet? I mean, we already talked about the registry, but do you think this is finding a lane of its own?
No, they started off completely different.
Okay.
From day one, they were completely different. The name is something given to them later down the line. But on the bloodlines, where the bloodlines started, I believe they were vastly more different than the game dogs than basically what I have now. I think mine are closer to the game dogs than what they started at. Now, I know other kennels, of course, that have moved, and they're closer to the Mastiff now. Bred that direction where they're closer to Mastiff. So, that question, I guess, would depend on the breeding direction of which branch you're looking at in these dogs, because they have been around for quite a while, to be honest, and not just the 4 or 5 years that ADBA has recognized them. So, like I said, I think mine and the kennels we had mentioned earlier may be closer to the game dogs than what they originally started. But I think other kennels are further away.
Right.
That makes any sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. And I think that when, the kennels we mentioned before and yours, I think when I think working pit bulldog, that's what I think of. It's because it's way too athletic and prey driven to be a bully. A lot of times it is bigger though, you know, than a pit bull or an Amstaff.
Yeah, they are. A lot of times they're bigger. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 of my dogs over 100 pounds here, so that's quite a bit bigger.
For sure. Now, what is your take on color? Do you breed for it? Do you breed against it, or does it just not matter? Outside of Merle, obviously.
Yeah, I don't think Merle's going to pop up because by this time, you know. But I'll get some blues. I'll get some whatever. I personally don't worry about color at all. I do find that my lighter colors, when I have a lighter color dog, I will kind of move them when I have a really light color dog because there seem to be health issues associated with that. My reds and blacks and chocolates and such, they're really, really solid. So I think color is a good determining factor. Like when you pick a pup, we go back to that question. A lot of times, really, really pale. If I have anything pale in there, I move it. I just don't think they've got something that their mentality isn't strong. You know, as strong as some of the dark colors. But as far as color, I do not care.
I gotcha.
You know, one of our best dogs that we produced in the sport was a brindle. You know, and then the next would be a black, and then, you know, color don't matter. And we breed more for the dog.
Right. You know? Well, I've noticed the buckskin or deep red with the black mask has always been my favorite color. The black mask, black eyeliner. That's always been my deal. That's just me being spoiled. But the most impressive that I've seen so far in the working pit bulldog for some reason has been the straight black dogs. The ones that are notable that like I said, I don't know every kennel, I don't know every dog that's out there, but the ones that I've seen the most impressive to me have been the black dogs.
The black dog. My most popular dog in the kennel is the black dog. You know, and people they just gravitate toward it. You know, and that's okay. There's I hold nobody at fault for gravitating toward a cool color and a specific cool look. You know, I get it. I do too. When I'm walking them on the leash, I'd like to look down at. I look at the cool colors. I'm like, yeah, that looks good.
Yeah, you know? For sure. Yeah, definitely.
But at the end of the day, you know, I still want, you know, and I personally had a hard time getting a really good-looking dog to be really good at the sport. For a bit, I thought, well, that's impossible. Apparently, pretty dogs can't do it. You know, it takes a rougher-looking dog, you know.
Right.
But pretty dogs can do it. We did work that out, and we got some pretty dogs to do it. So that worked out pretty good for it.
Okay.
When my black one was young, first 2 years, I had one of the pullers pull for a long time come up to me and look at me, and he sort of sighed, and he was kind of on my side, and he says, well, at least he's pretty. You know?
Yeah, at least you got a pretty dog.
Yeah, you know, and that was kind of, I don't know, just didn't fill the cup for me. So. Right.
Have your dogs ever been involved in, like, hog work or anything like that?
You know, they haven't. When I got one of my first, I bought my first stud down in Abbeville, Georgia, which is basically hog capital of the U.S., right? And they were breeding hog dogs, and I did grab a dog from hog dog line type stuff, but we don't really have hogs here like that. And in Missouri, and then hogs came here, and then right away, the Missouri Fish and Game Department said, you can't hunt hogs. So we've never done it, and I haven't gotten rid of any dogs to any hog hunters, you know, so no, haven't got to do that.
Yeah, that sucks.
It kind of does.
Because that's the only legal way we have now to really test a dog's grit, you know, is to...
Yeah, legality comes into play a lot now for testing that part of the dog. I mean, you can test... I chose weight pull because you can test heart, you can test determination, you can test quite a bit of the grit, you know, but you can't test that vicious grit. You know, you can't test the barbarian, the barbarism of it,
Yeah.
And you can't test the bite. You don't know if they bite hard, because
Right.
I've seen some dogs hold a flirt hole for, 30 minutes, but in a pressure situation, they couldn't bite through a wet paper bag because they have that flight instinct running through them, that they're just trying to survive.
Mm-hmm.
And they ain't playing the game to win the game. So, it is not a good thing to not be able to test like that, but it is what it is.
Right.
But we've got the closest thing that we can to it, and when we do it, it's more of a I guess you would call it a controlled situation where the dog has to do what they do under direction from the owner.
Mm-hmm.
So, in a way, we're testing something that's not even being tested through that type of testing, through hog hunting.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're testing a different type,
Right.
and test that we do. So, and the dogs that I pull, I have every dog that I start pulling with. I have 6 dogs here over 10 years old.
Yeah.
They are just as healthy as they can possibly be. And like, I like your thing. You keep your dog fit now, keep your dog active now, and you'll have an old dog that can hang out with you later.
Mm-hmm.
That's just going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
When he hits, 9, 10, 11, 12,
Mm-hmm.
and then you'd be lucky for 13, 14.
Yeah.
When he hits
But then
those,
he's earned his place as a couch dog at that point,
Yes, he's
Yeah.
going to be your hangout buddy. Pleasing popular opinion doesn't make a better dog. And I said, we're gonna make Truth more impressive than any hype that anyone can make up. It's kind of like when you're watching a movie, and you'll watch a great movie, and then all of a sudden you find out it was a true story. It has a different meaning to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
You'll wind up on the internet and saying, okay, is this real? Oh, holy crap, it is. The dude did this or whatever,
Yeah, definitely.
And why don't they tell real stories? Now, we set out to do that. We always have these goals. So we set out to make fact more impressive than hype. And at this point, I truly think we've done that. It's actually obscene how much fact and what our numbers are in this game, and what these dogs have done, that it sounds unbelievable that there's no way that happens, but it all happens.
Mm-hmm.
There's always been in every breed, and it don't matter what breed,
Yeah.
there's always a small circle of people, and there always has been only a small circle of people. Ever since I started, ever since I was young, there was only a small circle of people breeding dogs for specific purposes.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody else is just breeding dogs. And they'll have one of them dogs from whatever specific person that person bred in their pet, and they'll say, oh, this dog came from this dog, And it'd be like 4 or 5 generations down. I mean, there's none of that dog left in it. I'm just going to be honest.
Yeah, for sure.
But, for the first many, many years, I was just more of a trading dog. We trade dogs.
Mm-hmm.
I got what you got, I got, and we traded. That was our thing, to make our kennels better and blah, blah, blah. And it wasn't really a sales factor at all.
Right.
But, a little money's nice. There's no doubt. And what do you do with your culls? And I call them culls. What do you do with the ones that you can't keep?
Yeah, you sell them.
Cull is a strong word for that. It's pet quality.
Exactly.
Yeah. And a lot of people, and probably 75% of the people or more, are looking for pet quality. They're looking for a nice pet to hang out and do this and that,
A lot of people think they want that true, working, hard, grit dog until they actually get it. That's another thing.
They're just full of themselves. They really are just full of themselves.
Mm.
I'll see on the net line sometimes. Every once in a while, somebody will grab one, and you see them. Well, what do I do? My dog's got so much energy. It's doing this. It's doing that. Because they ain't giving it a job, so it makes up its own job.
Oh, do you believe that if somebody has a dog with too much drive, they should just work them to calm them down? Is it that simple?
No, that'll increase the drive.
Okay.
There's no doubt that. And working your dog will increase its drive. You would be better off. You could focus that drive on a task. When you say working a dog, in the game we play, when we say working dogs, basically we're exercising dogs. Is that what you're calling working dogs?
Yeah.
Okay.
working
No,
the dog,
that
pulling weight, running behind a four-wheeler, just working the dog, getting that dog to its absolute max, and then putting it away.
Pulling weights is a different form of work.
Okay.
Pulling weights is more of a command form of work.
I gotcha.
If I've got dogs and I'm pulling weights, and if I have a dog that ain't listening and whatever, I'll start telling it to pull weight, and I'll tell it to pull weights, and I'll keep telling it to pull until it don't want to pull weights, and I'll tell it to pull weights. And what I end up doing is working that dog's mind during that. I'm breaking that dog down kind of like a military officer. And he comes out the other side, listening to me, whatever I would tell him to do at that point, because I broke his body, I got into his mind, I caught him, and now we build him back up. But if you're going to talk about running behind four-wheelers and floor pulling and milling and all of that stuff, all you'll do is increase that dog's drive, because you'll just get that dog fit. And a drivey fit dog is way worse on someone who don't know how to handle or that dog don't have a task to do than just a drivey dog that's unfit. At least they'll get tired. You see what I'm saying? So you want to decrease a dog's drive, add weight to it. You'll decrease its drive.
So
a fat dog can't be too drivey for too long.
Right. So
and I'm not into fat dogs, but
right, yeah, no, me either. So to the people who a Pitbull, even we're not talking ADBA game type through the roof, bouncing off a chain.
Just an average
UKC, a UKC Pitbull, but their energy is just through the roof. And then they called me up because I've had UKC litters before, and they called me up and they're like, dude, this dog is bouncing off the wall. I'll be honest, and I'll keep this on record. I said, well, just work the dog, like tire him out. You think that'll just make more of a fit dog? That'll be even more crazy. Damn, maybe I made a mistake.
Of course. I mean, when you think about it, you've got something that's hyperactive in the mind already, right? And now you're going to take his energy level and pick his energy level up. That's all you're doing. When you get the dog fit, you're picking their energy level up. But you ain't done nothing to the mind yet. So you got this hyperactive mind now with a super fit dog who ain't going to wear out now. So now how long is he going to be a nut to you?
Right.
And most people don't know how to handle that type of thing. And you could say, okay, give the dog a task, give him something to do. But that's a day in, day out thing. And most of your owners want the dog, but they don't want the dog to run their life. They don't want to dedicate that much time into the dog, But they love the dog. It's an awesome dog. It's super awesome. But I always know if you get a hyperactive-minded dog fit, that's what you're going to have, and that's a combination to drive someone nuts.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I always think that's. I always see people giving that advice. And every time I do, I just shake my head like, oh, man, clearly you don't work dogs.
Okay. All right.
I mean, no offense, but clearly.
I wanted to keep, and I say to my listeners constantly, like, dude, I'm still a student. My whole channel is dedicated to learning and then relaying the information to all my listeners. And back when I did breed, I would just say, well, work the dog. And now I'm like, well, maybe I should have put my foot in my mouth, because now you're just making a more fit, more energetic dog based on the endurance they have. And
yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, no, I'm putting that on record. I want people to hear it. I make mistakes too, guys.
We all make mistakes.
What do you think the best way to house a dog is, in your opinion? Whether it be chain, kennel, indoor, outdoor?
Well, I run kennels with tops on it, and my dogs are basically secure,
Okay.
And as long as you get them out and you're training and doing this and that, I mean, I'm sure there's a bunch of dogs that would be just so happy to just lay around their kennel all the time and never come out and exercise. There's dogs like that, just like couch potato dog. But to me, kennel, outside kennel, all the way. But always acclimate them to your house, in my view.
Okay. So do you do you rotate your dogs out once in a while, bring one in the house for a couple days? Oh,
yeah, we do. We and reason is because we get them in the house and we spoil them in the house and we cheese them up in the house. When I say cheese them up, we give them cheese out of the refrigerator. They run to the refrigerator. But one main reason I do that is because I got all the dogs, and if they ever get out, because every once in a while one will get out, there's no doubt that's going to happen. Mm-hmm. First place my dogs go is to the house because they want to be spoiled. They want the cheese. And if they get out on their own, we don't get onto them. We bring them in, clean them up, keep them in for a while, spoil them, put them back out there because they came to the house. That's a reward. Mm. You see what I'm saying?
That's actually genius.
Yeah, the house to them is the party spot. It's the happy spot. It's the, they get to lay on the couch with us and do whatever, and it's spoiled spot. So
right.
That's all they want is through that door.
So if they get out of the kennel, and they maybe have the instinct to go after something else, going after the house will be the first instinct instead.
It does, and it works. It works if they get out and because they'll come to the house, just praise the crap out of them and treat them. Mm-hmm. They love it. Even if you ain't got time to bring them in and clean them, bring them to the refrigerator, open that door, give them something out of the refrigerator. That's a good girl, good boy, whatever. Mm-hmm. Put them back up. They love it, and they'll come to the house next time.
Right.
And they'll actually come in and scratch on the door. They're out. Okay, yeah. We got a dog out.
All right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so that works out. Some of the things is just, I don't know if you call it loyalty or just you spoiled them to something, but it works. So That's one of my things.
So what do you, outside of the refrigerator reward, what do you usually feed your dogs?
Oh, we just feed kibble. We feed kibble except for come around, like I say, we're getting ready for the big event at the end of the year, and we still feed kibble. Our only supplement is, a can of tuna on top of it to increase protein, and that's only for 6 weeks. Otherwise, it's kibble, straight kibble for my dog. I know a lot of people use a lot of stuff and be all tricky with it and act like it's,
like supplements and things like that.
Yeah. But we've got old dogs. We've got just about every dog in the yard here at won nationals at one time or another.
So you're running on pure genetics.
Of course. I told the wife when we first started, she wanted to do supplements, and I said, we can't breed it. We don't need it. I just sort of made a rhyme, Mm-hmm. And I said, you can't breed supplements. I said, say this dog is lacking. Okay, if I'm doing supplements, here's my theory on that. Mm-hmm. If I'm doing supplements and this supplement's got a mineral or it's got a vitamin or anything in it that my dog is lacking naturally, and then it balances my dog out, he does great, right? Or she does great. And then I breed that because this dog is doing so good, right? Mm-hmm. But it's being artificially balanced, right? From external sources. Then I breed that. Well, the pups are more likely to have that same negativity internally, not just visually, internally as the original one did. So they have to be supplemented now to even be up to par with what the parent was. Mm-hmm. Now, if it's all natural, that should reproduce, even that part of it. Because a lot of dogs can be low on vitamin B. A lot of dogs will run low on vitamin B naturally. Or a lot of dogs will run low on calcium or phosphorus growing up. Or a lot of, and if you have to supplement it, if I have to supplement any dog, it doesn't go into my breeding program.
So you want something you want something that's genetically balanced from jump. You want the genetics to speak for themselves.
Exactly. And then if somebody gets one, they want to supplement, well, good on you. But it ain't going to make a difference because these dogs should already be capped out with everything they need. They should get everything they can get from the food, nothing special. They should be able to digest everything they need correctly.
Do you ever fast your dogs or anything like that, or?
Oh yeah.
What is that like? Is that like I heard one guy say he fasts 1 day a week, like every Sunday he'll fast his dogs. I don't really know much about it, but
yeah, there's times a year, certain times a year I do, and certain times a year I don't. Through the winter, I don't. Because it's cold and this and that. I don't. They need the energy. and I'm looking to put some body weight on them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but through the summers, yeah, 1 day a week.
I gotcha.
You know, and I do have a couple dogs that aren't good at it. So not all dogs. This isn't across the board thing. Like you can do that to every dog. A couple of my dogs really have to eat consistently.
Okay.
To maintain good balance. But
and I would imagine, correct me if I'm sorry to cut you off, just for the listeners, are those your lighter weight dogs, the smaller dogs that just, they have probably more energy?
Nope, they're actually my heavier dogs.
Really? Okay.
Yep, my heavier dogs. It doesn't seem to work as well on my heavier dogs. Now, my smaller dogs, I've got dogs come down to 30 pounds. Right. Not to work with pit bull dogs. I've got some really naked pit bulls, you know, American Pit Bull Terriers. But those dogs and my more athletic looking dogs, they're great on it. It serves them well. They're actually healthier. Because you can go off the theory that when something's sick or something needs to heal or something needs, and it don't matter what animal, they won't eat during their sick times or during their injured times, right? Mm-hmm. So that gives their body literally a chance to stop digesting and turn their system onto healing whatever might be wrong with them. Mm-hmm. You follow me?
Yeah.
So it just keeps them balanced. But like I say, some of my bigger dogs, not so much. It doesn't work for them that well.
I gotcha. So, is there any children around?
Yeah, a bunch of the grandkids. Yeah.
Okay, and are they cool with going near the dogs, or are you careful about that? How does that work?
I'm not careful at all.
Gotcha. Nice. Great temperament then.
Yeah. No. Even my rough dogs that will be rough on you, you know, pushy and stuff. They won't even knock a kid down. They're just so soft with them. They just know the difference between kids. I had Nightshade out just yesterday, and my son come over and he's got the little girl, a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, and we're in the barn, you know, and Shade's standing there being all Shade. They come in. First thing he does is flop on his back and start doing that happy dog, stupid laugh and kicking his feet.
You're talking Nightshade, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My call name for him, you know, Nightshade's a mouthful.
Yeah, he's a great dog.
Yeah, he's been a really good one. But anyway, no, I don't worry about any of the dogs with the grandkids and or any little kid at all. Mm-hmm. Never.
That's great. Okay, my last question is
sure.
As far as the future of your kennel and your program, what are your ultimate goals? Well, let's just say if you haven't already achieved them, what are goals that you think of for the future?
Every goal that I've set, I've reached and surpassed more than I thought I ever would, to be honest. I mean, we've set a goal to win a national championship with our dogs, and now we're up to 33. Mm-hmm. You know, we've set goals to have, you know, a producer of excellence title. I mean, we got it. We've set goals to win what is called the Triple Crown. We got it. We set goals to have good-looking, popular dogs. Seems like we got it. It's hard to say, public opinion. Mm-hmm. It seems like each year I have to reevaluate. I actually reevaluate at each breeding. I'll be honest with you. When I make a breeding, I set goals for that specific breeding. Mm-hmm. What changes I want to make, how I want to increase, you know, improve my dogs, what I need, you know what I mean?
Right.
What I want to take this dog, why would I want to take this dog to this dog, breed two extremes together, but not the same extreme, because that just makes crazy, and what I'm looking for in that. And then I'll just move on from there. It's just, I don't know about goals, man, it's just baby steps. Mm-hmm. I have no overall goal. I have nothing cool to say about that.
You just kind of want to do the best you can with each step, with each breeding, with each litter, yeah?
Well, that's all you can do, because you've got an animal that you plan on breeding. So if you can't breed inside your yard, because say you're starting to get inbred or whatever, right? And now you're looking for an outcross. Now you've got to find your outcross that's going to marry up with what you got, and you got to go off hope and a prayer that the attributes of that dog you just brought into your bloodline is going to achieve That's your new goal. The goals you set for these pups. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And then until you get those pups grown up enough so you can see that dog, you don't know about your goals yet. And by the time you get them grown and you tested them in certain ways, you know, you just don't know. You just don't know.
Right.
It's a tough one.
No, I got you.
It's constant move forward.
I got you.
You know.
Yeah, definitely. I hear you.
And it does take a lot of prep, and I've never bred to anything that I haven't seen in person. You know, I have never bred anything that I haven't basically handled. You know, because we travel all over all the time, and we're bouncing into these dogs. And I have a hard time selecting a dog over a picture or over hearsay. You know, like
so you travel a lot. Let me ask you this.
Travel a lot.
As far as me I'm 32 years old, and I've been trying to make a plan to breed dogs, yada yada, and then recently I said, you know what, maybe it's not for me to be a full-time breeder. But the one thing I've always thought about was I've always wanted to travel and you know, go to shows and go to events, and also, you know, even to travel, take my family on vacation, you know.
Sure.
How do you balance having 18 dogs and traveling? Do you hire somebody? I mean, obviously you don't take 18 dogs with you.
No, I sure don't. I've probably 6 dogs with me. So I'm leaving, you know, 12 in the yard. Yeah.
And how do you manage that?
I've got family.
Yeah.
And I've got cameras pointed at all my kennels that I can look at on the phone.
Right. So you have like people that can come over and just like change out their dog bowls real quick, and
of course, they'll come over twice a day, just like we do. Mm-hmm. They're in the kennel twice a day, in the mornings and in the evenings, and they'll do all the feedings, all the waterings, all the cleaning, and we get by with help from family, and that's the only way we could do it.
Right.
That's the only way.
I got you.
Know?
Yeah. Okay.
So that's how we do it. Now, I do know people that load their whole kennel up and pull a big old box van.
Nope, not happening. Nope.
That's a lot of work, man.
Yeah, no, screw that, man. I'm always divided between maybe I'll get a yard, maybe I'll start my yard, maybe I'll do this, and then the other side of me is like, yeah, but I don't know what the future holds. I don't, you know what I mean?
You're at 32. I would not have done it either. I mean, we didn't start doing this, and it slowly progressed on us. But you know, my youngest boy is like, what is he, 38? You know,
yeah.
So my kids have been in the house for a long time,
right?
And you know, we sit around, me and the wife, what are we going to do? And then this just sort of was a slow progression,
right?
You know, it wasn't planned. Believe me, it wasn't planned. It started off. I discovered the sport, took a drive, took a look at the sport. I seen them arguing over weigh-in. Before I even seen the dog pull, I seen 2 guys arguing at a weigh-in. Mm-hmm. And the one guy wanted an extra pound on his dog. The judge was saying no. And the argument ensued. I turned to my wife and said, I'm doing this. I said, this is competitive. I said, this is a competitive sport. You know, I said, it's been a long time since we competed. We're doing this. And then that's it, man. We started training.
What would you say to somebody starting out? Like, I wish I would have knew before.
Well, I was one of those guys. Mm-hmm. You know, for years and years. I mean, I was 5 generations into the lines that I had. And when I found these dogs, and they weren't working pit bulldogs when I found them. I just found the bloodlines. Mm-hmm. As soon as I discovered these bloodlines and got around them, that was it. That was all I needed to see. Mm-hmm. I collected a few of them, and I let my others die off, you know, and this is what I ran with.
But did you, not to cut you off, but did you still cross some of your, because you've had old school pit bulls as well, did you cross any of that into it? No?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I found what I started doing, I found this, and I started doing some research, and I had got me a Whopper dog, you know, bred, and she's tight, nice, and she was a lot of game dog in her, and then I started looking for a male for her. Mm-hmm. So I found me a dog that was like 90% dagger, and had some Whopper in it already, which, you know, That's not a problem because I was going to breed it with Whopper. So I did that, and I didn't want to come in and throw my own twist on it that early. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Why would I throw a twist on something unless I knew it backwards and forwards? How would I know what to outcross with? Just because I own something doesn't mean I shouldn't be kennel blind. The last thing I should do is look at my dog laugh, you know? Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to do it out of nostalgia. I'm not going to put my line in it out of, because I have them, or because they're convenient, or because I didn't know how they would cross. So I crossed dogs that were known to cross well together, you know, through some history crosses that I'd seen. So no, I did not do that, you know, for fear of messing up something good.
Right.
You know, okay. I didn't have enough information and experience in the line, because every line's different. And then you can boggle one real fast if you just breed your backyard dog with it, just because you think your dog's badass. Mm-hmm. You'll mess it up, you know.
Right.
And, as long as you ain't if you're breeding for looks, yeah, do it. Knock yourself out, you know.
Yeah, which I still don't agree with. I mean,
yeah,
breeding for looks. I mean, I think people that are breeding for looks are only destroying things.
Well, yeah, that's basically breeding for looks is like breeding 101. Mm-hmm. It's the basis and the easiest way to breed, mm-hmm. because there it is. It's the line of sight.
For sure.
You got to look so much deeper, you know. And like you say, did I breed any of my stuff in with these? No, because whatever these dogs were made of inside, I couldn't see. I had to learn to train. I had to learn to test it. Right. Know? And it was only through testing. I mean, I've got dogs here that I got one female, 2-time national champion, really good dog, nice big bitch. I never bred her because she didn't make the cut on breeding. Not because there was anything wrong with her, just that she just didn't seem like she had it. You know what I mean? There was just something about her. Even though she did well, and I could say, oh yeah, man, she's won a couple good nationals, you know, blah, blah, blah. But no, and she placed at many, many more. But my deal is no.
What stopped you? What stopped you from breeding her?
The reason I didn't breed her is like it's just a feeling that you get, you know, and she's goofy as hell.
Based on like years of experience, then yeah. Yeah,
based on what I would consider goofy. You know, other people say she's friendly. I love her. Blah blah blah. You know, she'll greet you with her tongue. You know, she's never met someone she didn't like. Blah blah blah.
Right.
But I didn't breed her because I kept three of the females off of that litter, and one of the females had a way better balance than she had in every possible way. Mm-hmm. So I chose that female to breed to, and the other 2 females I didn't breed because I chose the best female. Mm-hmm. So why would I breed her, you know, which is, in my view, second best, and have that in my bloodline, and not just have the best out of the, you know. It just didn't make sense. It's like trying to breed average, you know.
Yeah,
so I bred the best out of the litter.
So based on your gut instinct, it was just, okay, I see patterns, basically, and this is just not the right one?
Yeah, how they trained, how they handle pressure, how they handle conflict, how they handle, you know, because I sit and watch them for a long time, and I didn't even breed. Like, I just made a breeding just not too long ago. First breeding with this female. She's 4 years old, her first breeding. She went through lots and lots of tests, you know, and she is worthy to breed after 4 years. You know, I don't breed just to breed. I make sure of what I'm breeding, 100% sure, and then I'll breed it. And it seems like a hard way to go, and it's time consuming, and it's expensive, and you can put a lifetime in a dog and never get anything out of it as far as breeding. Mm-hmm. But you learn a lot. You know, you learn a lot. So
right, it's like the end game is the most important there.
Yeah. Here's the thing: by doing it this way, and only breeding the best out of each litter, and I don't mean just the best looking or whatever. We went to UPF Nationals this year, right? And this is never. This has never been done. We brought 5 dogs to UPF Nationals in Kansas in 5 different weight classes, and we won all 5 weight classes with our dogs. And that's never been done.
Wow.
You know, so by doing it this way, it may seem like a harder, slower, more cumbersome way to do it, but what you end up with,
you end up with better results that way.
It's something amazing. Yeah, you end up with something because not everybody's doing it. So they're breeding their, say some of these dogs, let's just say that we compete against some of the dogs who was the second, third best out of the litter. And I'm assuming all litters are the same. And they're not, of course.
Right.
But assuming all litters are the same. And they bred their second or third best female to a good male. You know, I bred my best male with my best female out of the litter. My results should be theoretically better than their results.
Right. Okay.
And if it's done on a consistent basis, my odds of being better start climbing. And so that's part of our whole theory on this. Which, like I say, it's a tough road to hoe, but
right.
It seems to be working.
Yeah. No. Totally. But let me ask you, okay, one final question before I wrap this up. So you're, working pit bulldog alone, you're in how many years?
Just in the pit bulldog. I've been 12 years in it.
12 years in the working pit bulldog.
Pit bulldog.
That type, anyway, because they changed over the name, what?
Yeah, they were American Pit Bull Terriers. And then
right, but it was that line, so 12 years.
But this bloodline for 12 years.